Robot lawyers? Robot judges? What's life gonna be like in this soulless new legal world? Will no one stand to defend humans in law?
Hello Zimbabwe and hello world. I'm Roderick Tinotenda Mashingaidze, a Part 2 law student at the University of Zimbabwe. Allow me to acknowledge the great work that is being undertaken by our lecturers, Mr. Maposa and Miss Chigogora, in teaching us commercial law. At this moment in time, allow me also to give an opportunity to my colleagues from Group 15 to introduce themselves.
Mtizirose Passion is my name. I'm a Part 2 law student at the University of Zimbabwe. Love Mosi Amunda is my name. Part 2 law student at the University of Zimbabwe.
My name is Linda Baby. I'm a second year law student at the University of Zimbabwe.
Hello viewers, I'm Muyani Dengea, a law student at the University of Zimbabwe.
Hello viewers, I'm Christopher Charenyika, Part 2 law student at the University of Zimbabwe.
My name is Sam Elias. I'm a Part 2 law student at the University of Zimbabwe.
Hello viewers, my name is Personhood, a Part 2 law student at the University of Zimbabwe.
Tarakini Maroto is my name. I'm a second year law student at the University of Zimbabwe.
We are currently undertaking a commercial law course, and it is our task to look into the field of artificial intelligence and the challenges of regulating this new innovation. We will take you through a number of areas around the challenges that may be posed by this new innovation. Our first task as a group number 15, is to look into the regulation of artificial intelligence and the legal personhood in the age of artificially intelligent robots and autonomous driving. We are also going to delve into the realm of regulatory challenges raised by artificial decision-making and tragic choices. Now, our roadmap will be in this manner. The first objective that we will undertake is to define artificial intelligence. We will then define autonomous vehicle driving. Then we will also make sure that viewers are able to appreciate the regulation framework of artificial intelligence. Our fourth objective is to define legal personhood. We will then go to the conclusion where our task will be to appreciate some regulations as well as those challenges that are raised by artificial decision making and tragic choices. At this moment in time, I now defer proceedings to my colleague Abu Dhabi Asali, who will take us through the first part of our discussion.
Hello viewers, my name is Abu Dhabi Asali, a second year law student at the University of Zimbabwe. I'm going to take you through key definitions pertinent to our today's presentation. The first definition is to do with artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is the simulation of human intelligence processes by machines, especially computer systems. Specific applications of artificial intelligence, including expert systems, natural language processing, speech recognition, and machine vision. Artificial intelligence, or AI, refers to intelligent machines that are able to replicate a broad range of human intellectual capacities and even to surpass them. These are machines that replicate or exceed human capabilities with respect to a limited range of tasks, e.g., medical diagnosis or language translation. Now, let me take you through the definition of autonomous vehicles. Let me now define autonomous vehicles. An autonomous vehicle is one that can drive itself from a starting point to a predetermined destination in autopilot mode using various vehicle technologies and sensors. This includes adaptive cruise controls, active steering or steer-by-wire, anti-lock braking systems or brake-by-wire, GPS navigation technology, lasers, and radars. Regulation of artificial intelligence is going to be the next aspect that I'm going to be dealing with. The regulation of artificial intelligence is the development of public sector policies and laws for promoting and regulating AI. Regulation is now generally considered necessary to encourage both AI and manage associated risks. Isaac Asimov, a scholar provided what he termed 3 laws of robotics as follows. Number 1, a robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. Secondly, a robot must obey orders given to it by human beings, except where such orders would conflict with the first law. Finally, a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first and second law. Why should we regulate artificial intelligence? Imposing mandatory rules on AI would help prevent technology infringing human rights. Regulation has the potential to ensure that AI has a positive effect on human lives. In Zimbabwe, usage of unmanned aerial vehicles is governed by the Civil Aviation Remotely Piloted Aircraft Regulations published in Statutory Instrument 271 of 2018. This piece of legislation is insufficient in that it does not govern artificial intelligence in general. The European Union has proposed enacting legislation on AI, whose purpose is to address these types of issues. An often mentioned example of an AI violating a fundamental human right is that of a homicide committed by a robot in 1981, when an industrial robot caused the death of an employee at a Japanese motorcycle factory. The employee had entered a restricted safety zone to perform maintenance on the robot, but it failed to shut it down properly, which resulted in the robots pushing him against adjacent machinery, and this led to his instant death. Can autonomous combat drones, self-driving cars, or commercial AIs be held morally and or legally responsible for their actions? This could be achieved in 2 ways. Number 1, designers could be obligated to program their AIs not to engage in certain types of conduct. For instance, don't kill people, don't steal, don't commit fraud, and so forth. Secondly, duties unaccompanied by legal sanctions will be extended to AIs, and programmers will be required to program AIs to always obey their legal duties, so that it will be impossible for the AIs not to follow its duties. The AIs would obviously then have to be able to understand and follow the precepts of law. Thus, AI legal responsibility could then be justified on deterrence grounds, because it will reduce the expected value of undesirable behavior. Programming an AI to be able to contravene its legal duties might also have socially beneficial consequences. Acting in breach of contract may be economically the most efficient option, which will produce the most utility for all parties. This concludes the end of the first part of the presentation. I now defer to my colleague Tanya Kasecha, who's going to take the viewers through personhood.
My name is Tanya Stacy Kasecha, a second-year law student from the University of Zimbabwe. I am going to be presenting on the legal personhood in the age of artificially intelligent robots and autonomous driving. Locke defined a person by his or her intellectual ability to understand legal obligations and punishment, resulting from a default on legal commitments. It is such understanding, in turn, that determines person's behavior. Some scholars argue that the defining feature for treating AI is the Lockean person, that is, intentionality. Firstly, it is necessary to distinguish between consciousness and intentionality, and between strong and weak AI. System of intentionality is a technical and ontological property of a program, resulting from its underlying algorithms and knowledge engineering. We'll go to define the definition of consciousness. This refers to a non-biological, human-created machine that is aware of its own existence and can think like it has a mind. It is intelligence with awareness. Weak AI, also known as narrow AI, focuses on performing a specific task, such as answering questions based on users' input. It can perform one type of task, but both, whereas strong AI can perform a variety of functions, eventually teaching itself to solve for new problems. It is submitted that, under the condition of possessing the right of consciousness, AI may be recognized as the Lockean person, since Locke's definition of person is not limited to the human beings. Some scholars present a carefully reasoned discussion of how existing philosophy and legal theory can accommodate increasingly sophisticated AI technology. Arguing for the legal personhood of an artificial agent, the authors discuss what it means to say it has a knowledge and the ability to make a decision. They consider key questions such as who must take responsibility for an agent's action, whom the agent serves, and whether it could face a conflict of interest. They argue that AI may be accorded such a personhood considering current state of art and future advancement. Dennett elaborates a theory of intentional stance by suggesting it as an entity behavior as if it were a rational agent following choices based on the consideration of her beliefs or desires. Prediction of entities' behavior is founded on the practical reasoning derived from the beliefs and desires. Building on scholarly elaborations, yet it may be deemed the intentional system if its behavior corresponds to the predictions of such a behavior on a continuous basis. It is evident that AI must be sophisticated and autonomous enough to adopt the intentional stance. So I'll move to the conditions for the conferral of personhood on AI. Firstly, we have rationality. Secondly, reciprocation of intentionality. Third, verbal communication. And then lastly, we have self-awareness. Dennett specifies that being rational is being the object of a certain stance. For an AI to be qualified as the independent legal person, researchers advanced the notion that, firstly, there must be sufficient intellectual capacity to act independently, having the mature common sense. It means that AI is required to possess both sufficient level of intelligence and understanding of its behavior. Concerning AI's ability to understand, Solem thinks that this ability should be estimated through AI's performance. Secondly, understanding of and obedience to the legal obligations in order to avoid supervision and correction of behavior by a guardian. Chopra and White argue that this condition is achieved through the technical solutions when AI is programmed to obey the law. Lastly, the capacity to enter into contractual relations, which means that an AI is required to manifest an intention to conclude a contract, ability to own property and to control money in order to economically perform and to be held liable. This marks the end of my presentation, and I now defer back to my fellow colleague Abdabi Asali, who will take you through the last part of the presentation.
As I take you through the last part of the presentation, I'm going to resume by examining regulatory challenges raised by artificial decision-making in tragic choices. Road traffic law is a very densely regulated area of law that protects important interests such as road safety and traffic fluidity. Traditionally, it is human driver who must follow traffic laws. In an autonomous car, it is no longer a human but an algorithm. That is, a step-by-step procedure for solving a problem used by a computer which governs the vehicle's behavior. Shifting decision-making from human beings to an artificial agent like a self-driving car raises several legal questions. Does the law permit artificial decision-making, or does it require human operators, or at least in certain areas of law? How can artificial agents comply with legal norms, such as road traffic regulations? What should self-driving cars do if they cannot avoid an accident and face tragic choices? And finally, who will be legally liable if an accident were to occur due to a fault of an autonomous car? Now, let me take you through the characteristics of artificial decision-making. Human and artificial decision-making differ significantly. When facing a choice between stopping at a yellow traffic light or entering the intersection, a human driver can, in principle, decide freely how to act even if the outcome will effectively be influenced by individual factors such as the driver's habits, the driver's ability to assess the situation, the driver's respect for traffic rules, or the driver's emotional state. On the other hand, a self-driving car is governed by algorithms that produce a definitive result for every situation depending on relevant factors, such as the distance between the car and the intersection and the calculated braking distance. Thus, one of the most important advantages of autonomous cars is that they will unconditionally obey all legal norms duly reflected in the driving algorithms. Unlike human drivers, who may disobey the law as a result of emotions, fatigue, recklessness, or outright egoism, autonomous cars can be programmed to obey traffic laws. I now go to the challenges. Legal compliance is far more complex. If artificial agents operate in a surrounding defined by legal norms, several challenges arise. Number one, artificial agents are incapable of law abiding or even law finding. Law is made by humans and expressed in human language. It embodies human values and governs the life of human communities. It addresses human behavior and establishes rights and duties of human beings. As a consequence, law has traditionally been construed and applied exclusively by humans. For reasons of certainty and normativity, the terms law or legal norms, rules, and principles should therefore remain limited to law in the traditional sense and should be distinguished from technical instructions, algorithms, computer code governing the outputs of a computer system. Law's human essence does not preclude it from translations into algorithms, but this is a challenging task. Artificial agents experience difficulty in establishing specific facts. For example, in assessing human behavior, even the most advanced algorithms are unable to reliably predict human behavior in road traffic, such as the behavior of pedestrians, and may still be fooled when reading traffic signs, which prevents autonomous cars from following traffic rules accordingly. Thus, the reliability of fact-finding is also a matter of legal concern. Although artificial intelligence may help to fight human biases, algorithms also embody biases. At a first glance, self-driving cars seem less problematic than other uses of artificial intelligence, like image recognition, online advertising, or criminal sanctioning, all of which can produce undesirable outcomes. A typical example is where a self-driving car cannot avoid an accident and will either hit a cyclist wearing a helmet or a cyclist without a helmet. Which collision should it choose? If the car is programmed to avoid the least vulnerable person, say, the cyclist without a helmet, this will effectively punish road users who protect themselves with a helmet. If the car is programmed, however, not to account for a headgear or to decide against unprotected road users, this might cause greater damage, and it amounts to a bias against unprotected road users. This shows that algorithms create biases of their own. As a result, a legal order must outlaw unacceptable tendencies and may regulate others. Number 4. In some areas of law, artificial decision-making is implicitly or explicitly prohibited. Human operator requirements in other areas of law, human decision-making will regularly be required for the task of law finding or exercising governmental authority. German civil and criminal procedural law explicitly states, for example, that the court, composed of one or several human judges, hears evidence and renders the decision, which prevents outsourcing this task to algorithms. Furthermore, legal norms may contain an implicit understanding that certain forms of decision-making are reserved to humans. German public law stipulates, for example, that public agencies exercise discretion when imposing a speeding fine. As a consequence, automation is precluded and individual decision by a human public servant is necessary. Some scholars consider that conferring legal personhood on purely synthetic entities will become a very real legal possibility, but think that legislative action will be morally unnecessary and legally troublesome. In their review of the utility and history of legal fictions of personhood, and after discussing the salient precedents where such fictions resulted in abuse or incoherence, they argue that while artificial intelligence legal personhood may have some emotional or economic appeal, so do many superficially desirable hazards against which the law protects us. Now, let me discuss the suggested solutions. There has not been a significant breakthrough in addressing legal personhood issues for artificial intelligence at the international, EU, or domestic level. Yet, this issue has been raised and will continue to be at the forefront of legal debates for the near future. However, there are several options in legal theory regarding how to understand legal personality. The various types of theories are not answers in themselves, but rather serve as theoretical bases for customer-tailored solutions. However, there are several options in legal theory regarding how to understand legal personality. The various types of theories are not answers in themselves, but rather serve as theoretical bases for custom-tailored solutions. This starts with the concession theory that treats artificial intelligence or its systems as having a limited capacity to act similar to that of companies. The fiction theory renders the subject of capacity to act only through natural persons. Then the symbolist theory argues that such an entity as an artificial intelligence having similar legal status as a company would indicate that it is more than its constituent parts, but does not go beyond explaining already existing premises of law, besides highlighting possible conflicts of interest between the legal person and the natural persons comprising it. Last but not least, realist theory focuses on the differences between natural and legal persons as they are applicable to artificial intelligence, such as some repercussions not being available, such as arrest, the collective nature of decision-making, the natural person actor, or a human representative acting on behalf of the entity, and the various forms of legal persons that have been created in domestic legal systems, which provide a generalized set of applicable rules. Based on the foregoing theories, there are three modalities through which AI can be understood in legal terms and regulated. Number one, the first avenue is the object treatment, whereby AI will be in the same situation as it is currently. That is, without the capacity to bear responsibility or be awarded rights. Number two, the second possibility would include minor modifications of the existing normative framework by applying one of the pre-existing cooperation models. Lastly, the most radical position is the third position, which would entail human treatment by awarding AI a separate legal personality. In most legal systems, object treatment used to be the reality until recently. With the prevalence of AI in various fields of life, the modification of existing norms needs to occur. This is the development we are witnessing currently. Applying human treatment is utopian at this moment, since AI has not yet reached the point in its evolution at which its status and characteristics would warrant similar treatment to that of human beings. In conclusion, this presentation has provided a panoramic overview of the myriad legal issues, gaps, and challenges. It also managed to define artificial intelligence. It appreciated the current regulatory framework of artificial intelligence. Further, it presented key actions that should be considered to protect vulnerable members of the society. And in the final analysis, this presentation has demonstrated the lack of a standard legal framework, both internationally and at the domestic level, regulating artificial intelligence legal personhood in the age of artificially intelligent robots and autonomous driving. And this marks the end of our presentation.